If you've ever launched an ad campaign online and it didn't work, it didn't give you the results you wanted, then I'm going to tell you in this video why that might be. Because something happened in 2007 and 2008. There was a major shift in the market. And understanding that shift will give you an understanding as to why your ads did not work and what you can do to make your advertising campaign work. Because to tell you the truth, you have to get an ad campaign done online. The reason for that is no other strategies out there, whether social media, SEO, or any other types of marketing activity, will help you scale up your business as fast as paid advertising. Also, very few other marketing strategies will help you attract the volume of sales as paid advertising will. So understanding exactly how to make your paid advertising work is very important. So let me explain what happened to us in 2007. I had a client, and this client was a nonprofit organization that would do drug education in school, to educate people on the negative effects of drugs, especially abusing pharmaceuticals and abusing street drugs. And they didn't want to spend a lot of time fundraising, they didn't want to charge the school. They wanted to, to go into as many schools as possible to educate children against the negative effects of abusing drugs. So one of their solutions was to uh, help people who have fallen into the trap of addiction, drug addiction, and help them find a rehab program. Now you have the state-funded rehab programs where you're there for 30 days, and whether you're ready or not, they kick you out and you're done. And you have private rehab programs who tend to have better success rate. And at the time, you had a large group of people that could send a loved one to rehab, to these types of rehab that got better results. And so what they asked me to do is launch an ad campaign that will attract these family members, these parents that are searching for solutions, attract them to their website, and then have them call them so that they can help them send their loved one to a rehab program. And that rehab center would then pay a referral fee. And they had a large network of rehab centers they worked with. So it was doing really well. The ad campaign was a success. It was incredible. The volume of people they were able to help was more than enough to finance the drug education program they were doing in schools. So and then 2007 happened where they had the credit crunch. Before that, I was kind of wondering how can Americans, because most of the people they were helping were in the United States. And I was asking myself, how can Americans give 150% mortgage loan to someone with bad credit, to someone who has a history of not paying back their debts? And I didn't think too much of it, but at the time they would give 100% mortgage loans and all kinds of loans, and money was easy to come by. And so these loved ones would come in. They say, okay, well, this is how much it's going to cost. No problem. They would pay, send their loved one to these rehab programs, and everything was fine. That was good. And then the credit crunch happened somewhere around May 2007, where they stopped giving credit and loans to people with bad credit. Only to people with very good credit could get loans at that point. And at the same time, suddenly, the ads stopped working. The phone stopped ringing. People would still click the ads, so there was a cost on the ad. People would click the ads on Google or Google Ads, but then they wouldn't call. And I'm like, if they're clicking the ads, they must be interested in the service. Why aren't they calling and asking for help? They were not. And it's not just the only campaign. There was another campaign that also stopped working right there and then. And so it took us a little while to kind of figure out what was happening, because it was a major shift almost across the board in a lot of the markets all at the same time. And then in 2008, they increased the interest rate, and you saw entire neighborhoods in Florida, California, and other places like that where they just went vacant. People just dropped their keys and walked out of their house. They couldn't make the payments. And so I'll tell you what the major shift was. Money was still there. There were people, lots of people that were willing to send a loved one to rehab. And there were definitely a lot of people that needed rehab. They just, now that money was more scarce, they needed more, they need to be a little bit more confident on how, on the effectiveness of the rehab programs, on the effectiveness of our services. Essentially, that's what happened. And that didn't really change. That's why social media has become so important today, is because people will buy from you, they will do business with you as long as they are confident that you'll deliver the service and the results and the benefits they're looking for. And this is where social media comes in. It's no longer enough for you to just put an ad that says, hey, we do this service. It's not enough. Now people need multiple points of contacts. They need to see, okay, they saw your service. They say, okay, you're a general contractor. You do mold remediation. You're a financial expert. Fantastic. But so are other people. You're not the only one there. So what they're going to do is they're going to research social media. They're going to research your websites, what other people are saying about you, and so forth, to see who is the safest bet that would deliver the results and the benefits they're looking for. You see what I mean? So that's why social media is so important today. Even if you're doing B2B, I believe the stats, let me just see if I can find the stats here. 84% of CEOs and VPs use social media to research the company they buy from before making a decision to purchase. 84% of CEOs and VPs, and that makes sense, because if they hire the wrong person, that can be costly. So they want to make sure they hire the right person. You see what I mean? And there's a big number of consumers that will do also the research on social media before making a purchase. Now, the consumer is a bit more tricky to find out what the percentage is, because the fact is it depends on the industry. If they're buying a chocolate bar on Amazon, they're not going to do a whole lot of research. They may read the reviews and they're going to buy from the person who has the most amount of reviews, for sure. But again, it depends on what they're purchasing. If it's a cheap thing, they may not do as much research. They may just do a little bit of research and that's it. But if they're hiring a general contractor who will ask them for maybe $150,000 to renovate their kitchen and their living room, well, yeah, you better have a social media presence. I mean, these people will hire Property Brothers. They'll hire Homes on Homes before they hire anybody else, if they could, just because they have more reality. These people are more real to them because they understand them better. They've been seeing how they operate on camera. Well, you can create a similar effect in your social media. Maybe not as good or as professionally made as these guys, because these guys have a team of workers, but you're not competing with Property Brothers. You're competing with other general contractors out there who probably do very little to no social media at all. So if whatever you do, it would be much better than what the other guys are doing anyway, your competitors. So start looking at social media and start creating content that complements your advertising, so that when people see your social media, when people come to visit your website, then you can advertise to these people. You can advertise your services. You can advertise, tell them what you do. You can put an ad that addresses objections. Maybe you can promote a social post that addresses an objection or highlight some benefits. So that is what you do. It's a combination of both. You build confidence with social media and good content, and you advertise your services through paid ads. You can also advertise good content that you know will address objections as well. So it's a little bit of a strategy here. You have to kind of think of what information do they need to know before making a purchase. And then you put that in your ads and in your content, and then you kind of work it out so they see the right content at the right time.